Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here for the first time, welcome. My name is Angela, and I find my paradise through reading. I have some kind of updates. I'm still trying to update y'all on what I've been reading the last couple months. I feel like I've read so many books. I just didn't want to make a super long video. So I kind of wanted to just do a couple at a time or one at a time, depending on how epic these books are. And I do have like one book in mind that definitely needs its own video, but I'm not going to do that one today because I don't have the book with me. And Yeah, that's kind of like, let's just dive right into it. I'm going to share. Hmm, ooh, okay. First of all, this isn't the book that I meant to grab, so I'm going to have to grab. But this is a book that I'm currently reading or making my way through. This is Mary Oliver um, Devotions, Selected Poems of Mary Oliver. Of Mary Oliver. Look at that. And I'm just, okay, first of all, I didn't know she had so many books of poetry. You see, I already have like a couple tabs there. I didn't know she had so many books of poetry. And so she is taking some of her favorite poems from each of these books. And it's just her poetry. This is my first experience with her, and I've never read any of her poetry. And I'm just so pleasantly surprised. I love her way with words, and I like that the poetry is very like simple and very accessible. It's not way too super fluffy and abstract and vague that you're just like, what is this person even talking about? um and so it's just, I'm having such a good time with it. And I'm just, she drops some lines in here sometimes that are just bangers. And I just, oh, I mean, since I have this with me, let me read. Honestly, I did not mean to pick up this book. That's funny. Um, Let me just read something. Okay. I'll just read a poem. The morning. This morning the red bird's eggs have hatched and already the chicks are chirping for food. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep shouting, more, more. As to anything else, they haven't had a single thought. Their eyes haven't yet opened. They know nothing about the sky that's waiting, or the thousands, the millions of trees. They don't even know they have wings. And just like that, like a simple neighborhood event, a miracle is taking place. Oh, isn't that cute? There's um, some parts that so that it was like the whole poem. This one I just like annotated like a one snippet. It says, things, burn them, make a beautiful fire, more room in your heart for love, for the trees, for the birds who own nothing, the reason they can fly. And that hit hard. It was like, wow, the birds who own nothing, the reason they can fly. I don't want to be demure or respectable. I was that way, asleep for years. That way, you forget too many important things. How the little stones, even if you can't hear them, are singing. How the river can't wait to get to the ocean and the sky. It's been there before. What traveling is that? It is a joy to imagine such distances. I could skip sleep for the next 100 years. Mm. Oh, oh, and then there are books, I mean, poems of her dog and just, good stuff, good stuff. Highly recommend so far. I have a long way to go. This is kind of where I'm at here, and I'm just constantly being surprised, and I'm just taking it really slowly, but I'm having such a good time with this. I'm glad I accidentally picked this up, but for sure, check it out. Mary Oliver, Devotions. Ha. Okay, let me go quickly grab that other book that I was looking for. And since I'm already up, let me pour myself a nice little bourbon because I do what I want. Mm. Yes, sir. Now, ooh, ooh, good stuff. Okay, the book that I had meant to grab was boom. Look how gorgeous. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Gorgeous, gorgeous. This is a Chiltern Classics edition, and you can see. Let me put this here for a sec. Oh my god, that's so good. But it's like uh, raised. Got the gold foil edges. It's got the satin bookmark, cream shiny pages or glossy pages. It's such a beautiful, beautiful book. I love these. These are so cute. Um, and so I read Jane Eyre because it is on the list of 100 greatest books ever written that I'm working my way through. And I had no interest in reading this book. I'll be honest. I was worried that this was going to be like Jane Austen. So far, the only Jane Austen book that I actually liked was Pride and Prejudice. So I read Mansfield Park and Sense and Sensibility, and I think I read another one, but and Pride and Prejudice, and I just like I thought Jane Eyre was going to be the same thing. That it was just going to be like, oh boy, we're going to do the high society, nothing going on, just people visiting people and whatever. Nope. I actually really did enjoy this book. Oh man. Yeah, I didn't I'm glad I was surprised. I am so glad I was surprised by this. Um I'm terrible with names. Like you would I was yo. Oh wow. I was about to say you would I'm terrible with names. You would think that I would remember the main character's name, Jane. Oh Jesus. Anyways, so Jane. This book is following Jane, and she's kind of an orphan. Her parents passed away, and she was staying with her, I think her mother's brother and his wife. So her uncle and pretty much her aunt, aunt-in-law, however, but the aunt part is not blood related. But her uncle passed away, and it's just her aunt and her two cousins, her aunts, or three. Her aunt had three children. So, yeah, so she's treated pretty terribly by her aunt. And one thing that I noted reading this book is I feel like there, it just seems like in classic books, they love telling stories of orphans being treated badly. Like, is it just me, or is like every orphan treated like crap in these, like in the Hunchback of Notre Dame, orphans treated terribly. Um, the Les Miserables cassette, she was treated horribly. Oliver Twist, um, just like Fanny, sorry, Fanny in in Mansfield Park, and then I think Heathcliff, I think he was an orphan, and that was in like Wuthering Heights. So it's just like all of these classics. If you were an orphan, you were treated like garbage. And it's just so sad to read about. I think the only orphan of all the classics that I've read, the only orphan that was treated well was the young lady who was in the care of the Count of Monte Cristo. So honestly, that's the only one that I can think of. But anyway, so this is following Jane Eyre, her aunt treating her like garbage and whatnot. And she goes through all this stuff. She goes to a boarding school. The boarding school is like awful. She does like make some friends. Things happen. Life is going on. And she ends up taking a position as a governess at um, this man's house. And it's, oh, it ends up just being so awesome. I mean, I love her growth, and despite everything that she went through, how she did better for herself, and she was just like so sweet and kind-hearted and um just content. She just really had a heart of contentment, I guess. I don't know how else to say it, but so she loves her position as a governess, and she kind of has the hots for the man of the house. Okay, he's single, and she she is the governess, not to his daughter, but someone who he's kind of taking care of, this little girl. And yeah, it's such a cute, like, it. I don't even know how to say. I don't want to give spoilers. Like, this is one book that I feel like I don't want to give spoilers. Um, But yeah, and the guy, like, he is like 20 years older than her, and apparently he's not good looking. So he's not a handsome guy. He's like older than her, and apparently she's not beautiful either. And there's and I kind of like that because I'm tired of like reading these books where like, oh, he was so handsome and blah blah blah, and she was beautiful and blah blah blah. Like, just pretty much said, I think Jane even told him. She was like, yeah, you're not cute. She tells him, she's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not gonna flatter you. Like, you're not handsome. Um, but they just had like so many conversations, and I gotta leave it at that because things do not work out the way you hope. And yeah. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. This let me just read a couple, like, I know I highlighted a couple different things. I'm going to read a couple snippets so that you can kind of get an idea of the writing style and the angst, the declarations of love and just wonderfulness. I just love this. Okay. Okay. Because, he said, I sometimes have a queer feeling with regard to you, especially when you are near me, as now. It is as if I had a string somewhere under my left ribs, tightly and inextricably knotted to a similar string situated in the corresponding quarter of your little frame. And if that boisterous channel and 200 miles or so of land come broad between us, I am afraid that cord of communion will be snapped, and then I've a nervous notion I should take to bleeding inwardly. As for you, you'd forget me. That I never should, sir. Impossible to proceed. I grieve to leave Thornfield. I love Thornfield. I love it, because I have lived in it a full and delightful life, momentarily at least. I have not been trampled on. I have not been petrified. I have not been buried with inferior minds and excluded from every glimpse of communion with what is bright and energetic and high. I have talked face to face with what I reverence, with what I delight in, with an original, a vigorous, and expanded mind. I have known you, Mr. Rochester, and it strikes me with terror and anguish to feel I absolutely must be torn from you forever. I see the necessity of departure, and it is like looking on the necessity of death. And then so they're kind of like going back and forth, and she's just getting just so, She says, I tell you I must go, I retorted, roused to something like passion. Do you think I can stay to become nothing to you? Do you think I am an automaton, a machine without feelings, and can bear to have my morsel of bread snatched from my lips and my drop of living lo- water dashed from my cup? Do you think because I am poor, obscure, plain, and little, I am soulless and heartless? You think wrong. I have as much I have as much soul as you, and full of as much heart. And if God had gifted me with some beauty and much wealth, I should have made it as hard for you to leave me as it is now for me to leave you. I am not talking to you now through the medium of custom, conventionalities, nor even of mortal flesh. It is my spirit that addresses your spirit, just as just as if both had passed through the grave and we stood at God's feet, equal as we are. Oh, that's all I'm gonna show. That's all I'm gonna show you. Like this is just oh that conversation. I think they were like in the woods at this point, kind of like walking around. Loved it. I loved it. It was interesting. It was the writing was beautiful. It was exquisite. It was easy to follow the story, the characters. It was very well developed. Not entirely actually it wasn't at all what do you call it, predictable. I just kept getting surprised at what was happening, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this was great. This was great. Deserved to be in the top 100 greatest books. I'm going to read it again at some point. I know I am, and I'm so glad that I read this book. I am so glad. Absolutely recommend Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Oh my god. Incroyable. Okay. So then, oh, that's why I grabbed this. Then after that, I read The Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. Okay. This I actually happened to already have on my bookshelf, and I wanted to read this right after that one because this is a spin-off, right? This woman wrote a story for one of the characters. What's her name? Betsy? Is her name Betsy? Um, Betty, Betsy, Bertha. Okay, her name was Bertha. Okay, so there's a character in here, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's a character in Jane Eyre called Bertha. So this Jean Rhys wanted to write a story because Bertha really didn't have a voice. And we don't know much about her other than what Mr. Rochester and the other characters say. So she never actually got to speak for herself. And so this is kind of her backstory, where she came from, how she met Mr. Rochester, and kind of what happened um, to make her the person she was in Jane Eyre. I know a lot of people love the Wide Sargasso Sea. And I get it. I didn't like it. It's not long. It's like less than 200 pages. Um I did not like it because I liked Jane Eyre so much. And you know how they say there's two sides to a story? I mean, Mr. Rochester, I thought was such a wonderful character. I loved his love for Jane. I loved his passion and his strong feelings. And um, there was so much about him, and just how well, he treated her and like all this stuff. But in here, they kind of make him seem somewhat villainous, I think, and kind of cold-hearted and insincere and kind of selfish. I mean, he just wasn't I felt like he wasn't the same guy in this book as he was in Jane Eyre. Um, and I just didn't buy it. Like I didn't buy this backstory and it no, no, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. And the writing was kind of okay, but I felt like it was very chopped up. And I know they're trying to portray, life in the Caribbean and people with their um maybe what do they call it? Um language barriers and things like that. Sometimes it was just kind of really hard to follow the story. Um and it just you kind of weren't sure what exactly what was going on and what, whether madness runs in the family or madness was rightly triggered by other things that went throughout the life. And it was just odd. It was odd. I didn't care for it. I'm probably one of the few people that feel that way. Yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting giving Bertha a voice and giving her some kind of a story. Um, but I don't know. So I did read The Wide Sargasso Sea. I'm glad I did. Will I read it again? Probably not, but you never know. Never know. Okay. And then I read, oh boy, this was something. The Child Thief by Brom. Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I have been on this kind of Brom kick, if you want to call it that. I mean, he doesn't have a smack ton of books. Um, but I have these other ones here. Okay, so I had read Slewfoot and was so, so blown away by his writing, his storytelling, blew me out of the water. So I went and I got another one of his books. It was Krampus. Okay, very shiny. So Krampus, the Yule Lord. And again, I was pleasantly blown away by Krampus, had the best time with this book. And so I was like, obviously, I'm going to have to get the next one, which was The Child Thief. Okay. So The Child Thief here is a retelling of Peter Pan. It is so dark and so gothic and so horrific. I'd have to say it was quite horrifying in a lot of cases. I mean, it was come on. This this was wild. And same as with those books, I love that in the center there are color. That's Peter Pan right there. So there are color glossy drawings of some of the main characters. Very, very interesting. And great. This was absolutely a great book. Maybe I don't think I liked it as much as Krampus and Slewfoot. I think in order, I would say Slewfoot, Krampus, and then the child thief. So this is basically Pan, and I don't want to spoil this either because this is one of those that is kind of really great going into it, not knowing a whole lot because you're just freaking shocked. You're just blindsided, but by all the craziness that's going on. Um, but it's called The Child Thief because Peter Pan goes into the regular world, and we're talking this is like modern day. There's cell phones and everything. So he's going into the world and he tries to find children that want to run away. I mean, they are either being like molested or raped. They are in super bad home situations. They're being beaten up. They are just down and out, want to run away or kill themselves. Things are just so, they are just that bad. And he's kind of like, oh, well, come with me, and they're just so desperate. They're like, I don't even know you, but I'm going to follow you. And if they survive this horrendous journey that he takes them through, if they survive, they can try to be part of the Devils, which is pretty much like the Lost Boys, right? That's like his gang or whatever. Um, but they are pretty much like training for combat. Uh, what's it called? I forget what the land is called. Avalon, I think, is in the land where they are. There's a darkness on that land. The land is dying. It's constant fight for survival. It's just bad. It's just bad. And I guess what we know as Captain Hook, there's like the captain, there's like Puritan pilgrims that have been stuck in Avalon for like hundreds of years. And so there's flesh eaters and witches and all kinds. There's just it makes your head spin, the amount of stuff that is going on here. Um, Definitely wild and crazy ride. Very, very great writing, very great storytelling. Some things are really hard to read. I mean, you're talking about, and I think that's why I liked this the least of all, because I am not a fan of like child on child violence, um, or just children being involved in violence. That's really hard for me to read. And I mean, that's why I don't like the Hunger Games. I admit it. Yeah, I don't like that. I've watched the first movie, and that was it for me. That was it for me. I saw one movie and that was it. I can try reading the books. Everyone says, read the books. You got to read the books. You'll understand more and you'll like it a lot better. I might do that one day and see. But again, it's like that children fighting for their lives kind of thing is rough. So I think that's why I didn't like this as much as Krampus and Slewfoot. And it was hard to accept and see the point and see that it was worth it. Yeah, I don't know. But that's that. So that is all I am going to share with you today because I don't know. Those books have me kind of like talky, a little bit chatty, and it's already going on like half an hour. But the one book that I mentioned earlier that I want to do like a whole video about is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It's been a couple weeks and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what to say about it because like I'm stunned, blown out of the water. I can't say enough. I can probably talk about that book constantly. Like I can probably do 10 videos on that book. I don't know. Oh, like what to say. So once I can settle my mind down to keep what I have to say about it in probably under half an hour, I will make a video about that because I have so much I want to say. Oh, but and yeah, I'll just leave it at that because I'll start going on a tangent. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for sticking around with me, and I will be seeing you soon. Happy reading, guys. Bye.